Look at me. Don't you dare close those eyes. You're not dying today. Not while I'm still breathing.
The medical bay of the Kethra station smelled of burnt circuits and something faintly floral, a scent native to the Aelari, the pale alien species who had built this deep space outpost at the edge of the Vega system. Staff Sergeant Voss had never been comfortable here. He was a soldier, a man built for battlefield dirt and broken comms, not sterile corridors humming with alien technology. But tonight, he wasn't here as a soldier. He was here because of her. Lira. She lay on the medical platform like something carved from moonlight. Her platinum hair fanned out across the white casing, her glowing blue veins pulsing faintly beneath translucent skin. She was 17 cycles old by Aelari counting, perhaps 19 by human years. And she was dying. The 3 Aelari physicians stood at the far edge of the bay, their pale grey arms folded in a gesture Voss had come to understand meant finality. Dr. Shane, the eldest, with deep-set black eyes and a voice like falling water, spoke without turning. The Soloth virus has entered her second cortex. There is nothing more we can offer. Her neural network is collapsing. We estimate 4 hours, perhaps fewer. Voss didn't move from Lira's bedside. His armored knees pressed against the cold floor, his gauntleted hand resting gently over her small, glowing fingers. He had been in this exact position for 6 hours already. You told me that 3 hours ago, he said quietly. She's still here. Sergeant Voss. Shane finally turned, his elongated face carrying the careful blankness of a species that had evolved past visible emotion. I understand your attachment to this girl. She translated for your unit. She saved your team on Velt 9. We are aware. But medicine does not bend to sentiment. No, Voss said, his jaw tightening. But sometimes people do. The room fell silent except for the soft, rhythmic beeping of Lira's life monitor, and then even that began to slow. Voss had met Lira 8 months ago on a joint mission between the UNSC 7th ODE Regiment and the Aelari Frontier Council. She was barely old enough to hold the translation device, but she carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone far older. When a firefight broke out near the Velt 9 colony and every human soldier was pinned behind collapsed wreckage, it was Lira who slipped through the chaos and rerouted the alien defense grid, without armor, without weapons, without fear. She had done it because, she told him afterward, you looked like someone who still had people to go home to. Voss had laughed for the first time in months. After that, she followed the regiment like a small shadow, translating, navigating, quietly charming every rough-edged soldier into grudging affection. She called Voss the stubborn human, and he called her trouble. It was the closest thing either of them had to friendship in the cold black of space. 3 weeks ago, she collapsed during a routine survey mission. The Soloth virus, a pathogen dormant in certain planetary mineral deposits, had infected her through a cracked visor seal. By the time they reached Kethra station, it had already spread. Now Voss leaned forward, his voice dropping so low only she could hear. Hey, look at me. Lira's violet eyes fluttered. Her lips were pale, cracked. But she turned her head, just slightly, and found his face. Don't you dare close those eyes, he whispered. You're not dying today. Not while I'm still breathing. A faint sound escaped her. Not quite a word. But he saw the corner of her mouth twitch. Dr. Shane stepped closer. Sergeant. This is not. I said I found something. Voss's voice cut across the room like steel. He reached into the pouch at his side and pulled out a sealed vial, dark amber, pulsing faintly with bioluminescence. Before I came back in here. I've been in your restricted archive for the past 2 hours. The 3 Aelari physicians went rigid. The Kething compound, Voss continued, placing the vial on the tray beside Lira's bed. Synthesized in Aelari research labs 40 years ago. Shelved because it was too unstable for mass production. But it targets solith pathogens at the neural root level. He looked directly at Shane. It exists. You had it. You just decided the risk wasn't worth it. Silence. The risk, Shane said carefully, is a 43% chance of full cardiac failure in Aelari physiology. And doing nothing is a 100% chance she dies in the next 4 hours. Voss stood to his full height, armor catching the blue light. I'm not a doctor. I'm not Aelari. But I know how to calculate odds on a battlefield. And I know that 43 beats 100 every single time. The argument lasted 19 minutes. Voss did not raise his voice once. He simply refused to move, refused to yield, refused to accept the elegant Aelari logic that sometimes the compassionate choice was to stop fighting. He had lived his whole career in the moments between lost and saved, and he had learned that the line between them was usually one person who refused to step back. Finally, Dr. Shane looked at Lira, really looked at her, for the first time since Voss had arrived. She would need to be conscious enough to metabolize the first dose. Then wake her enough, Voss said. I'll talk to her. She'll fight. I know she will. They administered the Kething compound at 0340 station time. For 11 minutes, every alarm on every monitor screamed. The alien physicians worked in rapid silence, their long fingers moving across holographic panels with precise urgency. Voss held Lira's hand and said nothing useful, just her name over and over, a steady human anchor in a room full of dying signals. And then, the alarm stopped. Not because she flatlined. Because her heart steadied. One beat. Then another. Then a rhythm. Lira's eyes opened fully for the first time in 3 days. Her violet gaze found Voss immediately, as if he were the only stable thing in the room, which, perhaps, he was. You're still here, she whispered. Her voice was barely sound. Told you, he said, and his voice was rough in a way it never was on the battlefield. You're not dying while I'm breathing. She blinked slowly. Stubborn human. He laughed, the same laugh she had pulled out of him 8 months ago in the wreckage of Velt 9. Low, surprised, real. Dr. Shane stood at the edge of the bay and watched the monitors stabilize with the expression of someone recalculating something fundamental. He said nothing. But he did not look away. Over the next 6 hours, Lira's neural readings climbed from critical to stable. By morning, she was sitting up. By the following day, she was arguing with the medical staff about meal portions. Voss slept in the chair beside her bed for 37 hours straight. No one asked him to leave. Not even Shane. When Lira finally asked him why he hadn't given up like the others, Voss was quiet for a long moment. Because giving up on people, he said at last, is the one thing I was never trained to do. Lira looked at him for a long time with those old, luminous eyes. Then I am glad, she said softly, that you are very bad at learning new things. And somewhere in the cold dark of the Vega system, in a sterile bay lit blue by alien machines, a soldier and a girl who had saved each other more than once sat in the kind of silence that doesn't need words, the silence that sounds, if you listen closely, exactly like survival.